Hi, I'm Nicole from Baby to Sleep, and today I'm going to be answering the question that so many of you people want to know. When will my baby sleep through the night? Okay, so first thing I want to talk about, sleeping through the night. What is it? Okay, is it 11 hours? Is it 12 hours? Is it 8 hours? Is it 6 hours? Every person's view of sleeping through the night is different, especially dependent on age. So for some people, 8 hours, that's absolutely fantastic. They're classing that as sleeping through the night. Other people might say sleeping through the night is that magic number 12 hours, and they might say it has to be 12 hours and there's no feeds throughout the night, and that is their sleeping through the night. Everybody's view is different, and that is really, really important to take on board, especially when you're speaking to friends and family that are telling you that their child slept through the night from 6 weeks or from 6 months, or that didn't ever sleep through the night. Whatever it might be, it's really important that you take sometimes what people say with a pinch of salt, or dig deeper and find out what they mean by that. However, you don't need to dig too deep, because at the end of the day, guess what? Their baby's not your baby. Your baby's different. Your baby is completely and utterly unique. Okay? So there is no magic number as to when they will sleep through the night. So what I will say is, sleeping through the night, what is it? Well, nobody actually sleeps through the night. The sleep is made up of sleep cycles, okay? So what tends to happen, we have sleep cycles 40 minutes to an hour, and we tend to go to sleep, and we've got 5 different stages of sleep. So we have 4 stages of non-REM sleep, and we have REM sleep. So the non-REM sleep is that really deep restorative sleep. That's where the growth hormones are kicking in. That's where the immune system's developing. And then we have the REM sleep, which is the dream sleep. That's the memory consolidation, okay? Every sleep cycle is made up of stages 1 and 2 of non-REM sleep, which is the lighter stages of sleep, 3 and 4, which is the deep slow wave sleep, and some of the REM sleep as well, okay? So this is what every sleep cycle is made up of. And a nighttime sleep is basically going to sleep, coming out of one sleep cycle, connecting it and moving into another. That is it. It's connecting sleep cycles. That's what sleeping through the night is, okay? It's a safety mechanism, and it's inbuilt within us, okay? It's our survival instinct. As adults, we don't sleep through the night, okay? We wake up, we check our surroundings, we might make sure our pillow's in the same place. If we don't smell smoke, we just go back to sleep. We might check the time, and you know what? Probably 9 out of 10 times we don't even know that we've woken. And it goes right back to those caveman days, when basically, you know, these cavemen and women were having to, you know, were living in caves, and animals would come and steal their children. And it was their survival instinct to make sure that actually everything was safe. So they're waking up, making sure their surroundings are safe, making sure their child is safe, and then they're going back to sleep. That's exactly what sleeping through the night is. Now, the difficulty is, and you'll have had this before, by the way, when you've woke up in the middle of the night and then you just cannot get back to sleep. We all do it. Our brain starts to tick. We start thinking about things, and then we can't get back to sleep. And all that's happened is we've come out of a sleep cycle and we've just not quite been able to shift into the next cycle. It's no different for babies and children. Okay, they just tend to have shorter sleep cycles than us. So for us at night, we tend to have sort of longer cycles. There's less of them through the night, and our sleep is generally shorter. So we're looking, generally, most people tend to get between 6 and 8 hours. Babies, we're looking at them getting around 11 hours as an average overnight. So that's a lot of sleep cycles for them to connect right through. And again, the way the sleep is made up is very different. So we tend to find the first half of the night is predominantly made up of the non-REM sleep, and the second half of the night is predominantly made up of the REM sleep. And it's to do with the way that our babies are developing and they're growing. Okay, so they tend to have more dream sleep in the second half of the night, And that's where they're dreaming, and that's their memory consolidation. That first half of the night is much more of a deeper sleep, and that's obviously where the growth hormones are kicking in and that immune system's developing. This is also a really good source of catch-up sleep. So if sleep has been pretty poor for the day, if your child is a little bit overtired, having a bit of an early night is not the end of the world, because the non-REM sleep, that's where they're going to catch up on sleep. And then that's when an early to bed can actually mean an equal or a later rise rather than an earlier rise, okay? And that's really important, and it's a really good tip to take away. So this is how the night sleep is made up, okay? And basically, so we go through the night, and this is why you'll find you'll put your baby to bed and they sleep soundly. You might think they sleep absolutely fantastically until you go to bed. And then suddenly they're up every hour and you're going, I don't understand this. They were absolutely fantastic in the first half of the night. And it's again to do with how the sleep is made up. So that deeper slow wave sleep, they're waking up, they're more rested. As the sleep becomes lighter, as the night goes on, it becomes harder to go back to sleep because they're more rested. And it becomes easier to wake up because the sleep cycles, the sleep is naturally lighter. So as soon as you start to realise these sorts of things, it starts to make a bit more sense, and you start to feel a little bit more in control, because one of the things I always find that parents struggle with is that not knowing, not understanding and going, what is it? Why? You were absolutely fine when you went to bed. Absolutely fine. You slept for 3, 4, 5 hours. Everything was amazing. Why are you up every hour? And as soon as you start to realise that actually around the same time every single night, the sleep changes, it shifts from this predominantly non-REM to predominantly REM sleep, that actually you start realising why those wake-ups become more frequent and those night wakes might become longer. And it also explains why you start getting these early rises as well, because that's when that cortisol is kicking in. Because cortisol is our wakeful hormone. It's also known as our stress hormone, but we get our biggest surge first thing in the morning, which is one of the reasons you will get a lot of 4:30, 5 o'clock wake-ups when your baby or your child will really, really struggle to go back to sleep, because they've pretty much got everything against them at this point. Hormones are against them because their body and their brain is going, it's time to get up. And they've had 9, 10 hours sleep, something like that. So they're actually really, really rested. They might not have had quite enough, but they've had a really good chunk of sleep. So it's really not as easy just to crash and burn at 5 o'clock in the morning as it is at 7 o'clock at night. And obviously the sleep is completely different. So you can start saying, I get it now. I understand it a little bit more. I can see why it's really hard to go back to sleep at that time of the morning, and you become calmer. Okay, so there is no set time when your baby will sleep through the night. And also understanding what is sleeping through the night. Are we talking about asking a baby to sleep through the night without feeds? Or are we actually just talking about, sleeping through the night, but we're actually still feeding them because they probably still need feeds? There is nothing wrong with a baby still needing feeds during the night until whatever age, really. There is no set time a baby will go without. I've heard so many people come to me with their 6-month-old babies thinking they should not be feeding through the night. They've been told that their baby does not need a feed throughout the night at 6 months. I can tell you now, probably about 8 in 10 babies probably still need a feed or 2 in the middle of the night. Because at the end of the day, their stomachs are still small. They can only contain so much. So they need to actually, they need to fill up throughout the night. And again, with breastfeeding, it has those hormones in that actually aid sleep as well. So really we want to be kind of not encouraging, but we don't want to be forcing our babies to go without feeds throughout the night, when actually it's one of the things that they actually really do need. So there are ways that you can go about that. Have a watch of one of my videos on dream feeds as well. That might also help. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. You'll get access to all the different videos there as well. The other thing that's on there as well, if you want to talk about sleep cycles, is the 4-month sleep regression. Okay, because what you tend to find is between 4 and 6 months, that's when the sleep cycles are starting to form. This is when sleep tends to start changing. So again, you might have had a baby that's done pretty well. You might have been getting 4, 5, 6 hour stints out of them at 3 months. And then suddenly at 4 months, everything might kind of fall through the bottom, and that's when you get the hourly wake-ups. And again, a lot of that is this massive big development that they go through around this 4-month stage. So you might find that a really interesting video to watch, or if you don't want to watch it, you can read on the website on babytosleep.co.uk. All of the videos have got written text and they've got subtitles as well. So you can choose to watch them in whatever capacity you want, and still get all of that information. So hopefully that will help you realise that it's totally and utterly normal for your child to maybe wake in the night and need you to help them go back to sleep. And it really isn't the end of the world. What I will say is, if you are struggling, and this is the key to this, if you are struggling, if your baby's fine and you're fine, you probably don't want to change anything. If you are struggling though, if you are not coping, if you are finding you are getting 5, 6 wake-ups throughout the night and you can't manage that, which is completely and utterly normal, by the way, to be struggling with that, then it's definitely worth looking for some kind of help. You can read about the help that I offer on the website as well. But I would definitely be saying, if you are struggling, please reach out for help, ask questions. There are ways that we can help bring that back to a sort of more manageable level, you know, that's realistic as well for your baby and for their age, that is appropriate. So it's, you know, just make sure you seek help. At the end of the day, it's a problem if it's a problem for you, okay? It's not a problem if you're all okay with it. So there's no point trying to change something that you're all happy with. But if you're struggling, it's worth making a few changes. And it doesn't have to be horrible. It doesn't have to be awful. It can literally be a few tweaks can make a huge difference. But there is no set one time that your baby will sleep through the night. They are different. They are unique. And there is no such thing as sleeping through the night. I hope you found that helpful. Like I say, subscribe to the YouTube channel, sign up to the newsletter, and you'll get loads of free information as well. And join the Baby to Sleep Village for a community of mums and dads who have or are struggling with their little one's sleep. See you later. Bye.